I have, over the years, written quite a bit of poetry, and some of it actually might be worth listening to. But I shamelessly self-published in these five five books, if I can get it to out of the basement, the moon, the men here, and the memory, a feather from the winged horse, Champagne Dawn, and Illuminations is the most recent one, and they are available on Amazon. They are self-published, and I did it through Blurb. It's very shameless. And I am attempting now to compile a book of poems which will be focusing on nature and our impact on nature and the consequences thereof. And I don't have a working title. Oh, well, I do, but there's no point in telling you. The thing is that I am assembling this. I'm hoping to be able to start submitting it somewhere in perhaps January. I am currently taking a class with The Loft. I'm taking their Reset class. I'm very happy with it. I recommend them. So that's a little bit about me. I've had my poems over the years published in Hopeworks, and most recently in The Bluebird Word and Yellow Mama. And I have been published in the past in Backstreet Review and Poetic Hours and The Well-Tempered Sonnet. So that's a little bit about me. I live in Maryland, so we didn't get to see the eclipse. I'm an astronomer. You can tell by the background. So if you don't mind, I'll begin reading some of my poems. There's a little bit of backstory to some of them. This one is called Some Are Orchids. Some are orchids, curving petals turn inward to curling shadows filling with fragrance. Sepals outward flung brilliantly beckon, singing their colors in topmost airs where winterless trees reach languid limbs for tropic lights. No one sees these limb-embracing blooms, jewel singers, fragrant and rare. They bloom and bloom. And to give a little backstory, I was thinking in terms of us as we are like orchids. We bloom and bloom, whether anyone is looking at us or not. There was an incident. I'm a bird watcher, and there was an incident which involved a bird that struck a window. And as a druid, I felt that there was a certain amount of responsibility that I had toward this feathered spirit. Collision at the window, painful thud. When looking, seeing nothing, I went out and found the victim fluttering at last. His youthful feathers showed his fledgling age. How short the time, I thought, but then he moved. His bright eyes held me as he twisted so. His legs had found the ground, but not to stand. A twisted neck, a lolling head. I reached and held him in my cupping hands a while. A box, and then some water drops. The dropper I had used myself when sick, and now it served a life in final hours. He came to trust too quick, and opened beak for me, who held his life in hand, confused. Should I then make it quick, or is there hope? But he could not survive a broken neck. The edges of the wood received him well. I laid him in a tuft of grass and sun, and his last trusting look forgave me there for window panes and clumsy human care. I have always been very aware that the universe is full of life and intelligence and awareness. And yet, we have to look upon the world around us as quite separate, and that we are not necessarily part of it, not at every moment. Night weft. An owl glides silent on wings without whisper, and the moon gleams off her liquid eyes. Flower-faced mistress on the night wind paused. Silence. The shed wood is dried of color, flickering mouse tails under. She swoops. Something slides over from life to not alive. One feather drifts. The moon fills her far wings, weaving the tapestry of each moment, weaving the tapestry. The other lives around us are quite different. The drought. This one appeared in the book published by Green Mountains. The drought. The rain came plunging, drenching after drought, and silence burst as sensual groaning frogs, released at once from dry insisted sleeps, began the rhythms, sounded so beneath the world's first trees. Bromeliads and palms embraced their roots in waters filled with songs, but long ago. Tonight in twilight I am standing on the edge of time and pond, peering like a primate at the sounds that pulse and surge from shadowed reeds and roots. Somehow the blood and feet take up the beat, but on the edge of plunging I retreat, withdrawing from the memories of bones, to faintly hear within our walls their songs. We have our very own bog on our territory, on our property. It's wonderful. And perhaps in Vermont you don't get, or Canada, you don't get peepers. Peepers are little tree frogs that come out in the spring, and they fill the spring nights with their songs, peeping back and forth. It's a wonderful thing. It's kind of like the dawn chorus of the birds in the morning. Okay. Continuing with the theme of nature. Purposes. Deep in the South Atlantic lay a beach of cold sand where a tern struggled, sleek, black and white, flailing arrow-tipped wings and tail, desperate for the soar, the infinite spaces far above the deep rollers, jet-streaming, airlifting, feathers on face and nape. The tern, shocked with pain, hobbled, panicked. From the clicking legs and raised claws coming, the tern lay in brief agony under the surgery of crabs, then flew off in death. Sometimes it is the infinite sky. Sometimes crabs eat well. This is in the style of an Englinker, a Welsh poetic form, which has a very strict syllabic form. I like formal poetry, and I like free verse, and I find that they feed each other. Elegy for water, air, and earth. Strong black fins slicing wave crests, how wilderness manifests. Orca in beauty profound, hunter, prey found, never rests. Farewell, brave fins under sun, fierce child of wild Poseidon. Seas have no master today, their end today has begun. Eagle stretching proud at ease in heights circling her Ares, wandering far for her prey, veers away, smoking cities. Air is no shelter for wings. Ares built wrong of nothing ever meant to shelter chicks, opening beaks wide, dying. Earth receives in circling ties, what rises falls underlies, soils fill and live, giving more life to restore and arise. But now our smoke and acid make air, water, soil rancid. Water, air, earth, ways now die. Laws we defy, life forbid. I do a lot of poems that have to do with our relationships, not only with nature, but with each other. And in Africa, my husband and I have traveled to Africa 3 times. We're photographers. We've been all over the place, all over the world, and as I say, to Africa. This was prompted by an adventure we had in Africa. We were part of a tour group, and the tour group was given a chance to visit a village. On a theme of discovery, the village mellows into golden lights as African evening spreads warm fingers on the tawny land, children lately pulling proffered oranges from our white hands turn from us to answer their mothers' calls. Some dinner, not donated by the visitors, is cooking. Smoky meat savors float across the dirt road as we wait for our ride. A child takes an orange ball and scores through a wheel rim suspended NBA regulation height. Two girls shape a frayed string in orbit of each other, singing a chant. A third bounces between, swinging her leg in and out of the string, weaving ancient jump rope games. Someone's mother scolds. Someone's child whines and tugs. Someone is led inside. A dog chews. Evening light reddens into the oranges we had offered. The sun, outdoing our gesture in infinite glory, pauses on the purple hill. We hasten to find our ride, startled, realizing we have been left behind, after all. I'm also an astronomer. I do have more than one telescope, more than I should have. But anyway, tracks. My lens reflects my eyes staring up into the moon. Crickets chirp and a mosquito hums. The moon's silver half, sliced by sunlight and absolute shadow, casts a gleaming silver path down the camera body, caressing my face without warmth. Cool air slides across the moonlit grasses, and the daisies closed for the night. Somewhere up there, beyond the square viewfinder, swell round tires on the only vehicle to roll tracks in lunar dust. I can still see them, those tracks, if only I had the right lens. I have enjoyed formal poetry, traditional. And I was thinking about our time in Ireland. We went to Ireland with our cameras, as always. And I noticed that there were a lot of Americans there who amuse the Irish. I will say amuse kindly. Amuse the Irish with their antics, being, enthused about a relationship that maybe only appears in a small, tiny spot on your family tree. But you're Irish. You've got a great grandmother who was in Ireland. Okay. So I wanted to explain to the Irish why Americans do that kind of thing. Why do we go to Oktoberfest? Because we had someone on the family tree who is German, so we buy lederhosen and go to Oktoberfest. And we tended to do that. At least I saw it happening, and I think I participated a little bit. Okay, heritage. The Chesapeake does not flow in my blood. The White Cascades do not uplift my heart. So long ago, my people crossed the flood of ocean currents, kept themselves apart. From sea to tidal sea they spread away, and post and rail and air were seldom done to reunite the scattered, make them stay. In settling everywhere, they settled none. Detritus from the moving trembled down, their songs and tales spin-drifted into silence, 1,000 years of legends and renown discarded for a new-made social balance. New lands bring forth new wonders, crops that pay. I wonder what I lost along their way. And so that's why I think we who have emigrated or been the descendants of immigrants, why do we buy all those things with little clover leaves, shamrocks on them? Perhaps that explains it. There are some things that have happened long ago. There was a World War II, and my father was in it. And he brought back some bayonets. And I was prompted to write this poem about that. The bayonets. 3 bayonets lie quiet in the chest, brought from the second final war by my father. German bayonets, dark and solid and precise, with their steel hard with pride and assurance, dark blue with age and quality. I once asked my father how he obtained them. He said he took them off some German soldiers. I then assumed the men were dead. Perhaps it was not so, and my father never said. His field, intelligence, rendered him silent. But I think that if I had been a son, we might have had a beer late in some American place, and he could have spoken more. It is hard to tell a daughter about danger, the stench and the catch in the throat when the planes fly low overhead and rubble and bones trip your wet boots. It would have been hard for my father to speak of the young men as well-trained and proud as himself, as sure of their Führer as he of his freedom. Did they lie motionless, their blonde hair stained with their blood? Or living, did they hand over their weapons to the trembling American officer? Some part of me, as German as they, hopes he took them prisoner, an exciting and honorable moment. Some other part, knowing his more vital role, imagines that he lifted the bayonets thoughtfully from a table, a lamp-lit table full of documents, hard won. Perhaps he simply picked them up from beside the fallen, and a pale young face and darkened hair lying peaceful in the grasses reminded him of the sleeping newborn girl he'd left behind. The bayonets, ready to defend or attack, lie mindless and proud in the chest. That's looking back at war. This one is looking forward, or perhaps too much for today. It's an elegy for music. The music made the darkness sing of light, for peace and joy, the night's embrace. But bullets ripped, bombed, blasting, loud, bloodied children wailed. The crowd, pressed, milling, panicked over empty fields, targets clear, yield and fall, body parts and parting calls, parents, children broken all. Unreasoned hate brought down darkness, silence, onto blood-soaked tents, where joyful music, happiness, once welcomed all, not one less. It occurred to me that the people who were throwing around the bullets and the bombs would have been welcomed at the music festival and hardly noticed at all. Why? Why did they have to do what they did? I have found that death and illness and age show up on my pages as I write with relative frequency. And this one is a little sad too. When he is gone, will his shirt hanging there speak to me? On the hangers in the closet, will there be many voices? Will his shoes weep as I donate them? Will I cling to something, a book, a photo, a piece of some random device no longer working? I am sure I will treasure a tuft of his hair until I lose it in the garden or in the grass, while I wander, no longer sure of where my home is. We have been married 52 years, and we're in our 70s now. Sometimes what matters comes down to something rather simple. A black faux leather case, smooth, warm, and soft. Small handles belie the adage, your instrument is only as good as its case. Of course. One fall to concrete or stair, and 1,001 delights are gone, a few $1,000s too. So the case zips open to reveal Matryoshka doll. A second case, hard black wood, smooth. Tiny silver latches line up ready to click. Silver gleams on the red velvet bed. 3 shining shafts of unequal length, adorned with keys, small circles to cradle fingertips. Only one has a golden fold surrounding a small hole, a golden door to silver tones. Combine the 3, fitting one to the other, metal lives. Silver keys fit the fingers like petals plucked for gentle hands. The length and weight swing easy up, bringing the folded gold to the lips. Breath slides easy in and over. A soft sound responds. Fingers, breath, and flute become one. One note. Overheard by the gate. I did not think they would take it on like that, to strive so hard, to fulfill every letter on the stones. I gave them instincts, promptings, like all my children, of fin and fur, of flight and standing. Surely, I thought, they could hear my voice clearly in these. What further guidance would they need? But someone overheard me one day, muttering to myself, and he took it on stone, half done. They needed more after that, and suddenly fits of prophecy took my daydreams and ran with them into the sandy desert. When the towns became too small, they built cities and passed judgments, speaking strange words from books they ascribed to me. I am the rays of the sun, blessing earth or burning. I'm sorry for that bush, by the way. And I am the moon that keeps all time. No thing contains me. I am that I am. It is far too simple to cut down my forests for ink and pages. Let my trees and children grow. And a last poem, Total Eclipse. There is a moment when it falls or floats, receiving, touching, caressing, where your knowledge ends, your feelings still, the voices silence. An instant, a stun, a pause. If the wind is right, the tree is quiet, the water holds itself still. And you know then, you know what you knew. So, that's what I have to offer tonight. Thank you for listening.